Welcome, one and all, to another Functionised podcast. This is your Mantis Jim. Hello, world. And I'm waiting for a response, which is kind of crazy right now. We have a special guest today, but before we get into that, right here and now, take a screenshot of this podcast, post it to your Instagram, post it to your Facebook story, and tag us at Functionised, Functionised. We will start to follow you. We will start to respond and like all your stuff. And we are greatly appreciative that you're here with us as always. Today's guest is a featured keynote speaker, is an author, and premier business and mindset coach, Tommy Breedlove. And Tommy's purpose is to empower men to build a legendary life. He guides clients and audiences to discover a life of significance while building a lasting legacy. The tools he shares, and he will share with us today, show them how to work in their zone of brilliance, obtain financial freedom, and live with meaning and balance. This can help you to be the person that you have always wanted to be. As all of us have, Tommy has overcome great obstacles in his life and worked his way up the ladder and has discovered many things in life that he's here to share with us today. Without further ado, let's get to the podcast. All right, and we are here with Tommy Breedlove. Tommy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Gentlemen, it's an honor to be here. I'm very excited. I'm coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, and we're having a spectacularly beautiful day today. So I'm psyched to get out of here and run after this conversation, but I'm just excited to be here and to have this great conversation with you guys.
Nice, the good old Hotlanta down in the south. So, Tommy, could you just give us a little background of how you kind of got started down the path that you've been pursuing right now?
I'd love to. I'm one of those very fortunate people that what I do for a living fell into my lap. And so I spent 20 years in large financial consulting, public accounting, and mergers and acquisitions firms. Had a successful career, was a senior partner, international practice leader, and a member of the board of a very large firm here in the Southeast. And, I was that guy who was always on the relentless pursuit of more money, power, prestige, all things shiny objects. And it almost cost me everything twice in my life. And so I went through this massive transformation as a man, as a human, making me my full-time job, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And hired coaches and mentors and joined masterminds and just did everything and all things to be better. And because of that, a lot of very ambitious males, entrepreneurs, bankers, lawyers, accountants, you name it, just people who love the game and love all things betterment started reaching out to me and say, hey man, you didn't give up your ambition or your drive, but you seem to be happy, your relationship seems to be better. Can you give me the magic pill or show me the magic formula so that I can kind of have some of that? So, the business, relationship and mindset coaching, ambitious men fell in my lap, and because of that, I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of motivational speaking. We've got a book coming out, and run men's retreats and masterminds, and do a lot of men's coaching. So I absolutely love it. It fell into my lap. You'd have told me 8 years ago this is what I was going to be doing, I'd have laughed at you. So who knew, right? You never know the path if you open yourself up to whatever fall comes your way, and it's been the most fulfilling 7 years of my life, and I absolutely love it, and I love my clients. I love everything that I do. So thanks, guys.
Awesome. As you're talking to, I don't want to say alphas here, but I mean, we were talking before the show a little bit, and you were saying how a lot of males who are successful got that alpha mentality, always looking to dominate, always looking to just crush.
The inner competitive edge in any way possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
When you were working your way up the corporate ladder, was it something you were always truly happy with, or did you kind of feel that there was something more? And was there an aha moment that kind of got you there?
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Yeah, so I come from more humble, blue-collar, salt-of-the-earth beginnings. I'm the first person in my family. I also had a troubled childhood and ended up almost getting in too much trouble when I was 18 years old, and that almost cost me everything that time too. There's a reason I'm telling you all that is, so I thought coming from humble beginnings and then overcoming a violent past, that success and happiness came with money, title, cars, houses. I mean, that's, we don't realize it, but that's what's inundated in our, and those things are important, and money's extremely important. And so anyone that says money's not important, run from them because we're broke.
I was saying never had it.
What I've realized is, though, it won't fill that hole inside. And so climbing that corporate ladder is all about competition and respect, and I'm going to outwork you, I'm going to out-hustle you, I'm going to out-alpha you, and do everything I can. Never ask for help, never show weakness, just you who turns the lights off last wins. I was that dude. And, here I am, look up at 37 years old, my marriage is crumbling, I'm compromising my value systems, I'm compromising my core value, it's all about more. And it didn't matter if I made $100, $1,000, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million. It was never going to fill that hole I had inside because I never dealt with some of those wounds, some of my past, some of my regrets, because I never wanted to take off, peel back the onion and show any kind of vulnerability or honesty about what I've been through and what I've seen. And I realized that, all of these things and shiny objects and career and power, if we don't have people to love us and we don't love ourselves, and we don't start what I call that self-critic we got in our brain and our hearts, if we don't start dealing with that monster, and that self-critic can be an absolute devastating nightmare. I was going to say something different, so I don't know if it's a clincher or not, but it can be a nightmare.
Go for it.
Yeah.
You're good.
Say what you want to say.
If we don't deal with that, I'll just say it a nicer way. If we don't deal with that son of a bitch that's constantly in our heads and telling us we're not good enough, what if they figure out we don't know what we're doing? What if they really know my deepest, darkest desires as a human and man, and am I enough? And all of us dudes, I don't care how successful or ambitious you are, we all have a little bit of that in us. And so I just realized I needed to do something about that because I just never dealt with my past. I never dealt with my emotional and mental health. And I'm a big believer in just like going to the gym to be the best, to the best athlete or the best physical shape that you can be in. We need to also spend 30 minutes to an hour a day cultivating our mindset, our brain, and our heart so that not when life happens, it's when it's going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen. So when life actually happens, we will be prepared to take the tragedies, the obstacles, the job changes, the illnesses. And so, that's just a little bit about me is I was the pursuit of all things more. And I still think that wanting more is okay. I think ambition's okay. But I think until we really fill that void in our hearts and our brains, all this stuff in the world won't matter.
Coming from, I guess, a mentality quite the same there. I mean, I totally understand just grinding, just hard, day in, day out, for ambitions to achieve certain goals. And there is that side that I guess we all have of vulnerability that you don't want anyone to have. So how would you typically approach somebody? Use myself, for example, here. My shoulder has a torn rotator cuff. I don't want anyone to know, so I keep my mouth shut. I know that my wife likes guys with big arms, so I got to keep working my arms.
I love it.
How do you approach somebody like that who's starting to realize, I'm getting worn down. I'm getting burnt out. There's more to life, and I'm working 15 hours a day. How do you typically approach somebody like that?
So the sad part is people usually cut. I'm in the pain and purpose business, brother. So you said it best. People who know there's more to life are seeking more to life and really asking the question, why am I here and why am I not happy? That's the really, really fun thing that I do. Unfortunately, I'm also on the pain side. So when we make a mistake or we lose our job or we compromise our values, I spend a lot of time with mental health too. So typically people approach me when they're in pain. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish they would come to me, before they get on the trauma table or have the third, affair or whatever it might be. I hear it all, brother. I hear it all. But the key is, I think the first thing for men to know, and especially us alpha ambitious, and I'm a big dude, man. I'm a man's man. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds, a physically big guy, former athlete, yada, yada, yada. But I think the way I get people to open up is either when I'm on stage or I'm on a podcast or when I'm one-on-one with them, is the first thing is sharing some of my vulnerabilities, insecurities, fears, and letting them know that they're not alone. And so I think by me telling my story either in a stage format, a podcast format, and trust me, gentlemen, if there's 100 things not to do in this lifetime, like outside of your core values, I've done like 90 of them. So I don't come from a place of judgment or criticism, and I'm not a guru or a psychologist. I'm just a man who also has to walk this walk every day. And so the simple answer is letting them know they're not alone, letting them know that all men, we crave competition and respect, most of us, and we fear humiliation. I mean, cut my leg off, cut my arm off, beat me up. I don't really care, but I don't want to be humiliated. And so once we realize we're not alone, and once we realize, hey, these thoughts I've got, or these insecurities I've got, or, why am I not happy, or why can't I be the husband or father or man I want to be? And once we start opening up and they realize they're not alone in those thoughts, and I'm not here to be their guru. I'm here not to change them as a man, not to take away those things, just give them some more skills and tools to work on their hearts and minds so that they can be the man they were always wanting to be. Once they know that, they've got to be ready for the work. And here's another pain, and here's another kind of not so great. Just like going to the gym, brother. It's a practice, working on your mindset and working on your heart and working on all that. It's just like going to the gym, and it's a daily grind and a daily practice and a lot of work. There's a lot of it's like just having a trainer. I have a mindset coach. I have a men's mastermind. I have a psychologist. I also have a trainer for my physical stuff. But we only work on, it's like we can't work on all of our phases. But then we realize why we're not happy. I'm in great shape and have a great job, but why am I miserable? That's because you're not doing any of the other work. And so the short answer is that they have to first realize they're not alone, and B, they got to be ready and willing to do the work. And the message is here when you're ready to hear it. And that's the sad, harsh truth, man.
Okay. So obviously, you're a very motivated individual, and your whole goal is to try to help others pretty much go in your own image of trying to motivate and make them successful. And every person is different, but do you tend to see like common patterns of what like everyone seems to be motivated by these one or two certain things, or is it really individualistic?
Typically, this isn't statistically or data driven, but most of my clients are, like we talked about, very ambitious, very motivated, very driven. They want to be great men. They want to be respected. And so most of us, and I say us because I am one of us, and I do this work every single day for myself too. I spend 2 hours a day working on me so that I can be a better man for my husband, my clients, audiences, whatever. But here's the thing that I see the most. I would say 90 to 95%, and it usually takes time to break this down. Like usually we're working on a career change, or help me find my purpose in life, or help me get over this trauma or screw up that I did. And I hear all kinds of screw ups, and help me navigate through this so that I can get my feet back out of it. Regardless of the situation, it's almost 90% of the time we end up in relationships with families and wives. families and significant others. Because it's crazy, the more driven we are, the more we have to sit on the white horse, and we think we have to be, make the money, be the provider, have power. And a lot of us men are dying on that white horse. And the first thing that we compromise with our words and our actions is our family and the people that we care about the most, our friends, our family, and our significant others. And it's not like, it's like 9.5 out of 10 dudes that I work with. And it's all in that relentless pursuit of more money, power, and respect, which is fine. That's the guys I want to work with. But I don't want them to compromise and have regrets, like not take that vacation. It starts small with us men too. It starts with minor things. We'll stop missing date night with the gal, or we'll decide not to go to that ball game. Those are small enough. But over time, they start compounding, and then once we realize, depending on where we get in our careers, that the money, the fame, the power, it's not going to fill that void. So we start seeking things even more outside of our comfort zones and value systems. So it's usually always related around relationships, but the consistent theme is, and I don't want to go a little woo-woo, and it's just probably not something your audience is used to hearing. It doesn't matter how bad or how alpha the dude is, like how man's man he is. All of us have wounds from our past that we need to deal with. That doesn't mean I'm not about the victimhood martyr crap, but there are things that we need to come to, mistakes we've made, things that were done to us, wounds we carry, insecurities that we have. We got to deal with those. And then we got to stand on them and be grateful for them so that we can move forward in our lives and not constantly let that stuff anchor us down. Because almost, I would say 99% of all men have a story of wounds, a cloud, a demon that they got to deal with, and not blame, but take accountability for it, or look at it, get over it, move on, and use that to help us move forward. So I would say relationships, and all of us have some sort of wounds, insecurity, or worthiness issue. Am I enough? And it's hard for guys to mention. I'm here to tell you on this podcast, I work with some of the baddest dudes around, and 99% of them struggle with, am I enough? And it usually masks itself in arrogance or tough guyness or coolness or funniness, or I can get all the women, and all that's bullshit. That's all the mask that we wear. But all of us in some form or fashion is that, am I enough? Am I worthy? Am I lovable? And by the way, can I receive love when it's given to me? So I would say those are some of the things I see almost in all of my men.
It seems, you're right, I get it all the time. The tougher the guy, there's always like this persona that's put on. Just watching a show last night, Mr. Robot, I'm hooked on it, on Amazon, trying to go to bed at night. And it was season 3 in the Evil Corp. There's a computer programmer who's just bragging about the awesome weekend he had in this marathon session with this girl, and the main character, Elliot, calls him out on it, and he finally comes forth and says, "You're right, I've never actually been with a girl in my life." Yeah.
That's it, man.
Do you find that a lot of guys will use the excuse of time? I don't have time to spend time with my kids. I don't have time to take my wife out or my girlfriend out. I'm working. I need to do this. I need to do that. Using those stress words such as need. So is time one of those big things that you come across a lot?
Time is the biggest. That's one of the biggest tools we work on. Mm-hmm. And so I think people forget that when you say I don't have time, that's basically saying I am making the choice not to spend time here, and I'm making the choice to spend time there. It doesn't matter if you're the greatest basketball player in the world, billionaire, musician, artist, business person, whatever. They have the same amount of time we do. I mean, they absolutely do. I have the same amount of time as you. You have the same amount of time as me. And one of the things that we really work on is understanding that every single moment, the only power we have in our lives is choice. We can influence our bodies, but that doesn't mean we won't catch cancer. We can influence our friends, our businesses. We influence all of that, but we have no control over it. And so until our last breath on earth, the only true control we have is our choice, and time is a choice. And so really what they're saying is I'm chasing this something bigger, more important. And once I get there with my time, then I'll have more time with my family, my friends, my significant other. And that is absolute nonsense. Because you ain't ever going to get there. Mm-hmm. You know, once you reach X amount of dollars, you're going to want Y amount of dollars. Or you receive this title, you're going to want this title. Because what we're trying to do, and I'm getting a little deep here, we're trying to fill a void inside with that thing. And you're not standing on your principles. You're not standing on your values. You're standing on what other people think, or what, you know, we're standing on our career, or we're standing on our money, or we're standing on some sort of something that we have no control over. And but you're compromising one amount of your time for something else. And so there's a whole bunch of tools and tips around time. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And chances are, we really broke it down how much time we actually waste in our lives, especially on social media and other nonsense. It's crazy. So there's always time, and there's always a choice. And let me tell you this, man, and I live this in my life. So pre-transformation, I was working 80, 90 hours a week. I was junior partner, making really good money, but I was at work, because I was trying to fill a void inside of, am I enough? You know, see me, hear me, I'm important, which is all nonsense. It was all just this little boy screaming to be, you know, see me. So when I went through this transformation, and I went from working like 90 hours a week down to 40, but I made sure that 40 was rock solid and only focused on the important things, only focused on my people. I got promoted 3 times from senior partner to international practice leader to elected to the board of directors by working half the amount of time, by working a whole lot smarter, a whole lot efficient, and cutting out all the noise. Mm-hmm. So I have actually lived, I don't think there's ever anything that's such thing as work-life balance. I think we shift our balance depending on what season we are in life and what we need to shift our balance to. But I'm here to tell you that just compromising your time for the sake of more things, you're going to look back on our lives with regrets and wishes and shouldas, because no one's going to read your resume when you die. No one's going to care that you had the Maserati and the Ferrari and the drive. No one's going to give 2 rats asses, actually. So what's funny about that is people remember what you lead into other people. And for some reason, us ambitious men, we like to compromise our families and our significant others first, because we think they'll always be there. And at the end of the day, they won't, man. And so it's a choice. That's a really long-winded time for everything and everyone, and that's something that we work on by sharpening certain tools.
It's kind of deep and profound. I hope everyone actually hears that. I have been fortunate enough to work with quite a few people, and those that are the most successful, I've found, when it comes to finances. We're talking about tens of millions to even a couple billionaires in there. They all have balance in their life, it seems. They find the time for their health. They have time. They go on little vacations. It's those that seem to never be able to get out of hot water and are barely able to scrape by are the ones that keep pushing and pushing and pushing and neglect the important things in life. Is that something you found at times as well?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got, what I do find is the 1%, and I'm going to give you some opinions here, some strong opinions mm-hmm. that I have. I think to get in the top 10% of life, all you got to do is show up. And when I say show up, it means honoring your word, honoring your commitments, telling the truth, and showing up to when you say you're going to show up. I think that would put you in the top 10% of life right there. And I'm going to answer your question. The 1% is about taking action. It's truly taking action for your dreams, taking action for your family, taking action, and really cutting out all the noise of what other people think. I do think you are correct that if you look at the habits of truly successful people, I think there's balance in there. All of my heroes, from the business people to politicians to greats, they all meditate. They all have a formal gratitude practice. They prioritize their relationships. They prioritize their friendships, and they prioritize their family. But we're also super, super, super discerning on who we spend time with. We're also super, super discerning on how we spend our time, especially when we're working. We're not going to get caught up in all the noise. And we realize that a lot of people around us are better at us in certain things. And I think the truly successful also empower and inspire others to help them and vice versa. And they get inspired by others. So I do see that on a lot of fronts. I would say that would be a more accurate statement for people who do the work on their emotional, their heart, work on their hearts, they work on their souls, and they work on their minds, and with gratitude, meditation, some other practices as well. I think the more you work on you, because I think you have to invest in yourself first before you can invest in others. I think the truly, truly, truly successful and people are inspired by, and regardless of their bank account, really put themselves first, and then their families and friends second, and then everything else kind of falls in line. So I think we're agreeing, but we're also, I don't think it's tied to necessarily the amount in their bank account, but I think the more they have in their bank account, the more you'll see the data will show that they spend time working on themselves pretty significantly.
I'd agree with that, absolutely. I mean, there's always time for that little cup of tea in the day to refocus, regenerate, and it's a choice. And you've got a mission here about choice. Choose goodness now. Can you tell me a little about Choose Goodness Now?
Yeah, so Choose Goodness is the overarching movement. We talked about my piece. My piece is all around, men building better businesses, better mindset, better relationships, and just being better men. So my whole mission under Choose Goodness is to make great men legendary men. And so that's my piece of it. But the overall movement is around the power of choice. Mm-hmm. And getting people and organizations and communities to remember every single day of every single moment, everything is a choice. From our big decisions to our small decisions, it's all around choices. And here's the second part of that. So choose goodness. Goodness is a feeling. It's your soul. It's who you are. It's your value systems. And if we can remind ourselves, especially with the really, really big decisions, and even, a smile or how we help, a waiter or waitress or someone serving us a cup of coffee feel, if we know in every single moment that we have the choice to choose gratitude or love or kindness or compassion, or we can choose to be angry, bitter, jealous, resentful. And so the overarching movement, and my wife's got a good big part of this movement, she's got a book called Shine Your Bright, and she helps women with basically the same thing I help men with. And underneath that movement, we help relationships. We do a lot of relationship work together. And so to me, the overarching movement is around the power of choices. And remember, we always have a choice. And when you do make those choices, let it come from your heart space and your value space and your soul space. And I believe, it's interesting. There's so many, the news is so filled with anger and us versus them and fear and, the sky is falling, when I believe, all of our macroeconomic, social, political issues that we have, if people would just remember they have a choice and I think 99.9% of people are really good people down at the core. Mm-hmm. And if they just, the person next to them or their kid or the person in front of them or the person who's deciding on the road, if they just made the choice to come from a place of goodness, and it's like a practice. You got to continuously remind yourself, because the world kind of pushes us toward negativity. But I think our macro issues within 100 to 200 years, if we all really concentrated on that, I think we would see these raindrops would become oceans. And I think we can get shut down thinking about global problems. But if we want to go like whatever your issue is, you want to go do social justice or environmental, whatever your thing is, if you're an asshole at home, what's the point? And so, why don't we concentrate each person that we touch each and every day, and with that, there's small raindrops that will become oceans. That then it's all about, instead of coming from a place of fear and there's not enough, it's more about abundance and love and gratitude. And so that's what Choose Goodness is all about. I'm super passionate about it. You can probably tell.
Absolutely.
So a lot of what you've been talking about is saying, focus on yourself first, and as great a message it is, you also talked a little bit, at least throughout your website, about legendary leadership, trying to help push everyone forward, as well as you have a book named Legendary. You mind talking a little bit to us about the idea of legendary leadership, as well as tell us a little bit what people learn once they pick up your book.
Yeah, so I think all of us in life have the opportunity to be legendary. And I don't think you need to be, Mahatma Gandhi or MLK or Jesus or Buddha to be legendary, right? It can just start. Legendary is about knowing you have a choice, and what the book Legendary is about. It's really a guide of stories and tools that I employ in my life, that others employ in their lives, and that we work with our clients on to help them to be the people they were always born to be. I am a 100% in my heart and soul believe that we were all put here for a reason, to be of service to ourselves so that we can be of service to others. And so it helps us find our purpose, and it helps us use that purpose to better ourselves and humanity. And building a legacy and legendary isn't about, he who dies with the most toys wins, because you can't take them with you. It's about what you leave in other people and what you believe and think about yourself. And so Legendary is a book of simple tools that if you apply 1 to 2 of them, there's probably 100 in there. But if you just apply 2 of them in your life, and if you do it on a consistent basis, and they're simple tools, that within a year from now, you'll be 10x to 100x of where you were before. Because I've experienced it in my own life. I watched it in my clients. I've watched it in my community, my network. It's just incredible to see how this helps. So about legendary leadership, leadership to me is all about listening, asking questions, and then responding, and knowing that you don't know everything. And so I've been I had the fortune, I still sit on corporate boards. I still have because of my financial background, I still get asked to be on corporate boards, nonprofit boards, and I also sit on the board of large financial firms. So I get the opportunity to be in a leadership position, plus I'm the figurehead of the Chiefs Goodness movement. And so what I've learned is that really great leaders realize that they don't know anything, and they have the unbelievable ability of surrounding themselves with people with skill sets they don't have, and also let those people do what they were born to do. Know they have a zone of brilliance. Know they have purpose in their lives, and let them use their brilliance and their purpose to better not only our organizations, but also themselves along the way. So to me, it's all about listening about twice as much as you speak. It's about asking questions, and it's about letting people do what they were born to do, and you getting out of the way. So to me, that's what all about legendary leadership is. Because we have this need for control and perfectionism, and those are myths, man. Especially, us alphas. I'm saying me too. Like, I'll get caught up in that perfectionism and my way or the highway and control. And the problem is in our businesses, like, I have a real estate business. I have this coaching business. I'm on boards with other businesses. The problem is we always think we know the right answer because it's our baby. But when we realize that other people have their zones of brilliance, that they have their talent, they have their uniqueness, how do we get them in their lane to really just do what they were born to do? So that's to me what legendary leadership is.
What team can actually win with just a quarterback, right? I mean, you need all the different parts to win a championship.
No doubt.
I think it was Steve Jobs, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here, was saying, don't hire a brilliant man or a brilliant mind to tell them what to do, but have them tell you what to do. So
I love that.
Oh, absolutely. That just kind of hit me. Like, why am I telling people what to do? They're smart. They've complement the areas that I'm weak in, and that's why you bring them aboard. Why have a trainer if you don't have a degree in exercise science? Why have a nutritionist if you don't have a degree in nutrition? Why have an accountant and do your own taxes if you have no idea what you're doing?
That's it. I call that the zone of brilliance. And we all got it. And we all have our God-given talents and skill sets, and it's just finding them and using them, right? And getting the best out of others so that it can help us succeed. You're totally right on all fronts on that.
So I was seeing, did you live in Roswell at one point?
I live in Roswell, Georgia right now. I just moved here. I moved here in October. It's actually where I'm sitting in right now. It's in Roswell, Georgia.
Okay. I was getting the Roswells mixed up, and I was just curious if you saw anything in the sky from time to time. And
Oh, Roswell, New Mexico?
Yeah, we got some X-Files fans here, too.
I love it, man. No, brother, I'm in Roswell, Georgia. So.
So your book comes out, Legendary, February 25th, I see, on Amazon. Is that correct?
So I will have copies in my hand, I would say August 31st at the latest.
Okay.
It will be released into the bookstores and to the mass public in February of 2020. But on my website, TommyBreedlove.com, I will have books in hand. The audio book and the regular book are going to come out just about at the same time. So I read 3 to 6 books a month, but I actually don't read any. I listen to them all when I'm walking my dog or exercising or in the car. I listen to books. So the audio and the ebook will be out, I would say August at the latest. It's been picked up by the publisher, but bookstores, airports, all that, Amazon, that'll be in February. That's all contractually driven from the publisher. So we're pretty psyched, though, that we're getting books in hand here sooner or later.
No, I got it. I'm sure you're absolutely stoked. I'm sure you put a lot of time and effort into it, and to see it actually come to fruition, it's got to be satisfying.
Oh, totally. And you gotta, putting, my ego and my insecurities aside, and this is a book that I really needed as a corporate executive when I was 37, and I was ready and willing to do some work and to be better, to invest in myself. And I'm really, really proud of the book because it's a book I needed, and I hope that, if it just touches one person who implements one thing, and then that helps their life, and you're winning. That's what it's all about, book.
We will definitely put the link there in the show notes as well for you. And on social media, it's at Tommy Breedlove, and
That's it, man.
Makes it so simple and easy. Get something?
That was pretty much already answered, but for anyone other than your website, what's the best way for our listeners to reach out to you for either questions or more information on the book if they choose to do so?
I would love for them to email me directly. It might take me 24 or 48 hours to respond, depending on my travel schedule or speaking schedule or client schedule. But I love hearing from people. I even love hearing from them when they email me, and, if you have haters, you're doing something right. I always even I don't mind if they email and say, dude, you're completely full of it. Hey, at least you listened and we can agree to disagree. But at the same time, I really do like to hear from people. I like to hear what you're working on, what you're experiencing, what your challenges, and hey, how are you showing up for yourself to be better than you were yesterday? And please, it's so funny, we're at the end of this, and there's a dude with a blower, standing right next to me. I'm like, really, man? But I really would like to, hear from them, hear what they're working on, hear what the challenges is, and maybe they have some tools and tips that I don't know. So Tommy at TommyBreedlove.com is my direct email. I would love to hear from them, and I 100% will respond.
Awesome. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Any, before we depart today, any final thoughts or words of wisdom?
Yeah, I'll share something with you that was shared to me by, believe it or not, I used to do a lot of water sports, especially whitewater rafting. And one time this whitewater rafting guy said, and this is class 4, class 5, we're doing a big river, and he's like, look, man, you got to participate in your own rescue. And when I heard that, I was like, that's brilliant. He meant turn over, put your head up, look for the rope, and if you can't find the rope, swim. Because, getting out of the 4 and 5, those you got to get out of those rapids. It's literally life and death. I thought, man, that's probably the best bit of wisdom I've ever heard, because that's such a great analogy for life, is that, there's no one coming to save you. There's no magic pill. There's no white horse. And if you want to be happy in your life, truly fulfilled and live with peace, it's hard work. You have to participate in your own rescue by investing in yourself. And so that would be my biggest takeaway, and I probably remind myself of that 3 times a week. So invest in yourself so that you can be the best person you can be for yourself, and others participate in your own rescue.
Love it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's a much better way or stronger way of saying, help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, man.
Well, Tommy, this has been a crap ton of fun. Got the word in. Got it in. And everything we talked about will be up on the show notes very shortly. So whenever listeners are listening to this, the show notes will be up, obviously. And I thank you from the bottom of our heart so much. Thank you for being here and hanging out and talking with us today.
Jim, Dr. Mike, go crush it. Hope you have an amazing week, and let me know if I can help you or your audience with anything, and I look forward to hearing from all you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you a lot for everything, Tommy.
That was, well, let's say it, legendary.
Legendary?
That was awesome. Thank you again, everybody, from the bottom of our hearts for being with us. This has been another Functionized podcast. Check out our website, www.functionized, functionised.com, and click on the podcast, and you'll get all our show notes at Functionized on Instagram, at Functionized on Facebook, and make sure that each and every day you simply live functionized. This is your mad scientist, Jim. I am out.
Dr. Mike, out as well.